Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 26 with the Chicago White Sox. Our previous episode, we had our off season. Not a whole lot has changed. We did add a second Estrada and Michael Estrada from San Francisco in a trade. Hoping to get a new first baseman, potentially maybe. Manny Estrada, who we acquired last season but barely played, is in a starting role this year. Other than that, it's a bunch of old friends getting a chance to hopefully grow and improve as human beings. Pitching staff looks very familiar with the addition of Adam Jones, who has been a reliever for us and a pretty decent one. Now we're trying him out as a starter, and I don't know how that's going to go either. Bullpen is where we've really made a few changes here. Jay Horner, who we acquired in a trade a long time ago, is our new closer. Adam Wilson returns. Matt Pless returns. Geske returns. Kevin Spencer returns. Ted Robinson returns. John Kennett returns. And Alex Mendez returns. We didn't make a ton of really impactful moves, I don't think. Because I think a lot of what we're expecting is just better performance. We do have Trent Maben playing against right fielders. This is kind of his make or break season. We need to see him actually show that he can hit consistently at the major league level. All the evidence he has so far suggests that he can't, but he's going to get one more chance. There's a universe where Trent Maben ends up being one of our better players, but it's going to take a little bit of luck, I think, for that to come to pass. We also added Jason Ransom. Mr. Ransom is all part of a different trade. He's going to be our secondary left fielder, but there's a very high probability that if he works out, though we expect that he might, he's going to be the outfield linchpin that we have craved for a very long time. All it costs us was Chris Ransom. This is a classic challenge trade, right? I think we won the trade already, but it'll depend a lot on how Mr. Ransom does in his tenure with us. Yes. Manny Estrada is definitely on fairly borrowed time at this point because I desperately need Ransom to be amazing, but we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, it's basically last year's team. We're kind of hoping for just continued growth. We did bring back Kyle Teal for a pretty reasonable sum. Small is not the right word for it. We did bring him back, so he is there, providing veteran leadership. We've got a few players that are interesting in the minors. The most interesting position player is probably going to be Bill Shiflett or Alberto Maini. Mr. Maini is somebody that we acquired a few seasons ago. He's waiting for a chance to play in the majors, and that time may be coming sooner rather than later. We are trying to get him to play third base. If he can handle third base, that would be pretty tasty. So we got a lot of players that want reps in the major leagues, and we're going to try to get at least some of them those reps. Chris Waters is probably number one in the we want him to be up in the majors soonish. Our starting pitching is pretty solid, but it's not exemplary other than Jaden Charles. So a world in which Chris Waters has a phenomenal season in Double-A, maybe even in a Triple-A, is one that will help us be the best version of ourselves. But we've got a ton of high-quality talent just waiting for opportunities, and we're going to try to give some of those opportunities out, but we want to make sure that we give every existing player a chance to prove that they're worthy before we start kicking them to the curb. But I don't want to alarm you guys. Our low minors is packed with high quality, high caliber prospects, which is pretty great. Herb Barrett at the age of 20 does not need to be repeating. I'm going to do one of these jobs here. He should not be repeating Rookie League again. He's already 20. So Herb, how about we promote you to A-Ball? And we'll see how you work out. Alright, gentlemen, friends, neighbors, comrades, people of all shapes and sizes, let's get after it. Let us, in a word, baseball. I heard a lot about the All-Star game. If you're watching this video, I recorded it on Wednesday, as I usually do. I didn't watch the All-Star game this year. I usually don't. Now I kind of wish that I did. I think the home run derby is actually surprisingly compelling as a way to end a tie All-Star game, which I thought was kind of fun. It seems really neat. Yeah. Sorry, I do not know why my throat is so dry. I keep drinking, and yet, still unsuccessful. I do think the Phillies thing was complete bullshit. What I mean by that is, I think the Phillies getting butthurt about Miss Soriowski making it for Milwaukee because, oh, they should have been given the offer and then had the chance to refuse so they get that. Just don't be like that, guys. Don't be like that. It doesn't make you look good. It makes you seem like a toolbox. So don't be like that, okay? Yeah. So he's already got a shoulder strain, which definitely affects his ability to throw. I would much rather shut him down for the 2 weeks and let somebody else start. We're going to call up Josh Fantine. I'm not going to rush Waters. Is he fucking hurt? He's hurt. God damn it. Alright, so Vantine gets called up. Who's going to start? It's either Mendez or Robinson, and I think I'm going to pick Robinson just because he has started before. So I think he's a decent choice. And then Vantine is going to be long relief. Emergency starter. Dumb. Alright, let's simulate forward a bit. I don't like these small numbers we're putting up. We're meant to be a team that's based heavily on their offense. If we're not hitting well, that's going to make for a very long season indeed. Very, very long. Very, very season. Nothing too crazy has happened here that I can tell. Geske's getting better. Not that it matters because we can't afford him. Bill Shiflett keeps getting better, which is awesome. That's very exciting. Yeah. Alright. We've only had a month of season. How are things looking? Ida Montez sucks the big one. That's disappointing in the extreme. It's still way too early in the season to get too alarmed, but this is deeply troubling to me. If he can't manage even a 200 batting average, his tenure as our third baseman will be very short indeed. Play better. Mr. Tibbs is kind of a slow starter. I think maybe just needs more pitches to hit. Kozic looks amazing. He's playing extremely well, which I love to see. Ito's good. Bautista's fine. Michael Estrada's got the thumps, or at least getting that as advertised. He is drawing walks at a surprising rate. He just needs to make more contact. Overall, it's still way too early in the season to get too alarmed about anybody. But we will definitely keep an eye on people and make the appropriate reactions as we need to. Let's go for another month. Ted Robinson has not covered himself in glory. I think he can just instantly have his rotation spot back. Probably. Maybe, maybe not. Hmm. Hmm. Ted, I think I'm gonna send you down to the minors. I think. Where I think you'll be more useful. Then again, you're 29 years old, right? Like, if I'm not gonna keep you, I really should just trade you. And honestly, I think he's worth keeping. I think he's still valuable to me because he's a fan favorite. People like him. He's a nice guy, and it helps with the clubhouse stuff. Um, Kevin Spencer's getting his brains hammered in, but maybe that's okay. Maybe he just needs some more time to figure out his shit. Um, what if Adam Jones got some rehab time? What if we use that as a way to just let this kind of solve itself a bit? Maybe. We need Montez to heat up. That's of extreme importance to us being successful. Hey, look at that, an achievement. Nice. Oh, I'll never 100% OTB 25 because I quite frankly refuse to play. I refuse to play Perfect Team. I don't find it an interesting way to play the game. So that's a big reason why I haven't done it yet. um, Ted Robinson could stay in the rotation, I guess. But I do want to make a genuine experiment of this. I genuinely want Adam Jones to get a chance to start. But I don't want to fuck with how things are going right now, so maybe just to make him an emergency starter and a long reliever. Do note that we're gonna have to make a hard decision about Luke Geske at the end of this year. It's actually not a hard decision at all. It's actually a very easy decision, which is he can't play for me anymore. Um, I don't have the money. I don't remotely have the money. If we can get him for arbitration, great. But if we can't, very high probability that he'll be departing. Um, he just wants too much money. So there is a very real chance that around the trade deadline time, especially if we're out of it, I might be willing to flip him for something interesting. Otter Montez continues to slide. That makes me very sad. Very, very sad. Okay. All right. So we have a very serious problem here, and that serious problem's name is Honor Montez. This is god fucking awful. Like there is no sugarcoating this. This is bad. This is extraordinarily bad. This has to be fixed immediately. Honestly, Alberto Maini can handle third base. I think he's the play. I think he is an entirely reasonable response to the current problem of Iron Montez not hitting at all. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I guess it could be Shiflett instead, actually, if we wanted. Shiflett doesn't play third base, and I like the idea of having a high on base guy. Because then I can do this. I can bump Kozic to hitting last, and Maini can lead off and hit and play third base. This is risky. He has barely any experience in the high minors, but I need help, and he could provide us with that help. Alright, so that fixes part of this issue here. Tibbs is not making contact at all, but he's also drawing more walks. Hitting him cleanup is probably too much to ask right now. Probably. We could try Michael Estrada hitting cleanup. He's at least hitting plenty of home runs lower in the lineup. And then we can do this. James Ransom is struggling. Trent Maben is struggling. This is not a well-equipped lineup right now. I mean, Kyle Teal's hitting extremely well. We should probably move him up too. Maybe try this out for size. Alright. So that's one set of changes here. The pitching staff is fine. Vergez is really struggling. He needs to have his role reduced. I'm just gonna tell you to use him less often for now. Vergez probably needs to go. Actually, Vergez needs to go. I feel bad for him because he was a great reliever as soon as 2 seasons ago. I've got too many young, hungry relievers in the high minors to let him try to figure it out in the majors. If I can get something decent for him, I think I have to take it. We could get Elias Delgado. I like him quite a lot. I don't think he's Major League ready yet, but I think he's pretty solid. Danny Renteria is a pretty good starting pitcher. But the control. The control. Antonio Ayala is not bad. I think we maybe just go ahead and take Delgado. I think this is something I have to overthink. This is just about A, clearing a roster spot, and B, getting rid of a player who's underperforming. The question is it Altamar or is it Crank? Let's take Altamar. Maybe. Crank is pitching really well at AAA. Altamar less so. Altamar is struggling a bit. But he's also older, so I think promoting him is still reasonable. Let's give him a shot. Do middle relief. Alright, friends, I need to quickly pause. I will be back before you know it. Alright, friendarinos. Let's hope these changes have a positive impact on the lineup. Let's keep going. Oops, I didn't want to go that far. Nope. Wow, okay. Thanks, Chris. Great job. But I've already won the World Series. Like, it hasn't been that long. I am barely in first place, so I think any hopes that we would be anything really special are pretty foolish. I'll just go for whatever the best looking prospects are. Remember, in baseball, the answer is always best player available. It's never drafting for need. Because it takes so long for baseball players to be at maximum skill. Oh, we don't need to scout some of these guys. We've already been scouting them pretty well. There's just very little. I mean, I guess there's value in scouting people just to build up our relationships. I guess let's do that. But yeah. It just takes too long for players to develop. So if you draft based on need, by the time the player's actually usable, you're not going to want him anymore. Or you will find something better. Long-term fixes come from the draft. Short-term fixes come from free agency or from other places here. Alright, they're very high. I think keeping them around is kind of silly. So yeah, you should always draft the best player that's available, regardless of position, and then trust yourself that if you don't get the player that you most desperately want, you can trade them for somebody else. That's kind of what the deal is, you know? I have 2 more days. I'm going to remove everybody. And then we're going to start snagging people a bit lower on. You do want to make sure you've got positions covered, but it's not like you want to make sure that you always have plenty of reinforcements in the minor leagues. So what the minor leagues are for is for freely available talent that you can manipulate and shape to your heart's desire. That's what it's for. All right, we're done with the combine. Great, good stuff. Love that for us. Let's advance up to the beginning of July. Alex Mendez is able to return. I do want to bring him back. Ted Robinson isn't that good. Yeah, Ted Robinson is very clearly the weakest pitcher on this roster. But then again, there's also Adam Jones. I think maybe the best thing we could do is maybe have our good pal here do some rehabbing. It's really interesting. I don't. A lot of my pitchers are all about the same skill level, which makes it really hard to figure out who should go and who should stay, but it's something we're thinking about. Let's simulate a bit farther. Let's sim at the beginning of July and then look over how we're doing and maybe make some decisions. Kyle Teal missing 2 weeks isn't the end of the world, but it's also not my favorite thing ever. I don't have large numbers of high quality catchers. Nick Notch here is probably about as good as we're likely to get. So sure. This then means that Leo Torres, who is having a decent season, is going to be the new everyday catcher. And then Mr. Notch here is going to be the backup. How is Anar Montez doing in the minors? Is he hurt? Did he vanish? No, he's still there. This one really hurts. This one really sucks for me because I invested a lot of hope in him, and he was amazing as recently as last year. And then he's just completely lost all ability to hit, which is really frustrating. It's something we're going to have to, I think, come to grips with and maybe find a more permanent solution to. Where does Bill Shiflett play? Probably first base, maybe? Alberto Maini is doing what he's being paid to do. What he's doing isn't, like, amazing or anything, but it's fine. He's getting the job done. He's getting on base. He's setting the table for other players to drive him in. Mr. Tibbs is about where he should be now. He should be better than this, obviously, but he's at least getting better. To be perfectly blunt with you, I think Mr. Tibbs' days are very much numbered. I don't think he's going to be on this team next year. I just don't think that makes sense to me. Trent Maben and Jason Ransom are both also dumpster fires, so even Manny Estrada is disappointing. Like, Nothing he's doing is terribly exciting. I mean, not terribly exciting seems to be describing most of this hitting staff this season. Like, very, very few of them are doing what we'd like them to do. Give me some minor league extensions, you know? Brian Coyle definitely gets promoted or whatever, extended. Cameron Seitzer is at least decent. I don't see any reason to change the script there. Julio Bruno is not that great a hitting coach, so I think we could probably replace him. Aaron Boone is gone. He may not realize it yet, but he is gone. And we'll keep Delmonico. I think he's done a pretty decent job here. He's by far the most cranky of our coaches, and he's also, like, the hitting is also terrible this year. Not uniformly terrible. Some of the hitters are actually playing quite effectively, but most of them are not. Like, even Kozic, who's objectively having a good season, isn't having that good a season, which is really frustrating. Yeah. Only 7th in runs scored, which is just completely nuts to me. I don't know. We're also badly struggling at defense. Who's the issue in defense? Tibbs is a big issue. Ito's still playing okay. Yeah, Tibbs is really struggling defensively too. It might be about trying to take him out of the field, but then that begs the question who goes into the field. Maybe it's Manny Estrada. Maybe he'll play better if we let him play left field every day. I don't know. Let's do that much. Let's let Mr. Tibbs DH again. Jason Ransom is nothing special as a left fielder, so Tibbs can still play against lefties, I guess, but maybe taking him out of the field against righties will help him hit a little bit better because he'll be able to focus. Maybe. Berry is number 5. Nice. So here's my dilemma. It's Luke Geske. It's recognizing that he's one of the best starters on the team, but I don't have him after this year. And there's definitely a universe where we trade him and we get something really special in return. And I kind of think it's something we need to explore. I kind of think that has to happen, right? I'm not completely off base that if we let him stay on the team and all we get is a draft pick, maybe that's not good enough. But the question is there somebody ready to take his spot? Like Geske is having a good season. It's not an outstanding season. It's not one of the best seasons. He's giving up way too many homers. He's having a good season. It's difficult for me to look at him and tell you, yes, he needs to be replaced. From a performance perspective. It's difficult. These are difficult questions to solve, and I don't know that I have many answers for us at the moment. I kind of like Bill Shiflett is such a trading chip because Like he's not a shortstop. He just isn't. What he is he's a pretty good first baseman if all of his skills work out the way that we expect them to. But he's vastly overrated right now, and that could be an opportunity for us to get a really nice piece in return. Um, I want Waters pitching more in Double A before I promote him. I have several people that are like close to Geske, but they don't have his track record. They don't have his skills. And especially if we do make the postseason, which seems likely, Geske is one of the few guys that I actually trust to in the postseason. So in the attempt to win another World Series, I think keeping him is important. But we'll see. We will definitely see. I feel like the offense needs to be fixed. Maybe I just need to give it more time. Maybe. Michael Estrada definitely has the power we were looking for. He's actually been a bright spot on this offense this year. Mostly because he just clubbers home runs and draws lots of walks. I wish he drew more walks, so more I wish he made more contact. If I could take 10% off of his strikeout percentage, I think he would be amazing. I think he'd be truly incredible. Getting Kyle Teal back is legit huge because he's actually having such a good year with the bat. Like, I'm not going to say Leo Torres played poorly because he didn't, but this is Kyle Teal's offense, and I want him to be the one to lead it. And then Mr. Torres here. Let's give him once a week start. Who are our great hitters this season? Miami is actually doing amazingly well. Ito is great. We have some really solid offensive performers. The problem is some of the ones we counted on the most are the ones that are playing the worst. Maben and Ransom have both been awful. Ransom is 26, Maben is 26. This is when they should be unlocking their skills. They shouldn't be struggling to this degree. I really think Aaron Boone is the problem. I think he needs to be replaced next season before we end up getting completely screwed over. I don't want Emmanuel Clase. It begins and ends with that. I don't want him. He is of no interest to me. Good for John Rodriguez. I don't hate that. He's a pretty good pitcher. He's just also very, very far away from the majors. With control, it's not terrible. All right, let's get drafting, guys. Let's find ourselves some great players. Picking 30th, that's pretty low. All right. Jim Rowan is apparently somebody we're really into. What is his deal? So what are the good parts about him? His control is phenomenal. He could definitely be a rubber-armed starter that pitches every day. Not every day, but you know what I mean. This concerns me, though. This very much concerns me. He's a classic $1,000,000 arm, 10-cent head. I don't think he's the kind of guy I want to draft, especially for the amount of money he wants. Let's keep looking. Adam Martin. I feel like keep running into players like this. where their only real skill is hitting home runs and drawing walks, and they don't really do anything else. I'm not opposed, but I'm not excited about it. Danny Farraco is uninteresting to me. He's fine, but he's not anything special. I'll probably just need to suck it up and just find a player that I'm happy with and just take him. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the kinds of players that we really want. It's Matt Bowles' deal. I like Matt Bowles because he's very well-rounded, but he's also incredibly expensive. And I only have $14 million. Well, that doesn't include... What do I have budgeted for signing bonuses for the draft? That's under scouting, isn't it? No? Player development? At $17 million for the draft budget, okay, so it's already included, then maybe I can be a little bit pricier here. If I'm going to be pricier, I'd rather take... Jim Rohn is just such a giant warning flag for me. I am deeply concerned about his ability to be an effective pitcher in the major leagues because of how bad his makeup is. If that's the case, Adam Martin's got a ton of really big tools, but he's also never going to play the field. I like Matt Bowles as like kind of a classic player. I love his low strikeouts. That's going to make him be super effective in the majors when he's able to hit 15 to 20 home runs a year, draw some good walks. I think Matt Bowles is the choice. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel like it's a slam dunk choice, but I think it is the best choice we could make. Greg Arnold. We want to draft Greg Arnold. Now, see, Greg Arnold I can get behind. He's smart, he works hard, he's not a great leader, but that's not always required. Good mix of pitches. Another lefty, I have a type, I'm sorry. Greg Arnold is a very worthy second-round pick. No hesitation. Gabe Walter keeps slipping. I think he's a very good choice. I see slipping because of his bonus demand. That is not lost on me. But I have the money, why not spend it? You get what I'm saying? You're picking up what I'm putting down? I love James Conway a lot. I love this kind of player very much. Good control, nice velocity, pretty good makeup. Outstanding slider. Other pitches not as exciting. Was 3.8 million. That's a problem. Kyle Moyer. Look, we're already at the point of the draft where I'm thinking to myself, he's fine, but he's no. You know what? Fuck it. We're going for it. I'd rather spend extra money on a player that doesn't work out. Raul Flores is very, very good. He is a high-quality pitching prospect. Yeah. I love everything about him. Let's make him a White Sox immediately and not even hesitate. Alright. Adrian Lemberger is not a center fielder. And that significantly reduces his value for me. We're hoping his ability to not strike out is going to make the rest of his skill set work correctly. And I don't think that's a fair bet. I don't think it's very smart. I haven't taken a catcher yet this draft. I've taken 2 first basemen and 3 starting pitchers. I need to get more athletic players. Nathan Johnson, there is a universe in which he becomes a starting shortstop. And I think that's something that we need. I think it's something that's very helpful to me. Let's make that a thing. Rafael Cabrera. Absolutely. High makeup, great tools, good stuff. For a 6th round pick that cost me $0, all over it. Sorry, 7th round pick. Let's now start looking by raw tools and see what we can come up with here. Who is the best BABIP hitter remaining in the draft? That has any power. Miguel Gonzalez is not a center fielder, but he's got the tools that you're looking for, so I think he is a solid choice. I think he's a very solid choice. Javier Lugo. He's a good bat. He's also very dumb, but that's okay. We can work with dumb. Let me look at batting eye. Jeremy Hahn is interesting. It's too early to take him now. I'm going to quickly shortlist him. But I do want to take him at some point. I think Mike Baker is a far better selection at this stage in the process. And then we're going to look at some pictures for a bit. Tom Casello looks like a pretty great choice. Let's go for him. AJ Fraley is the ultimate what-if prospect. If he figures out his control, he becomes a top-tier starting pitcher in the league. But that is a gigantic if. That's a massive if. I think in the 12th round, it's worth the risk. But note that I expect very little from him. If he even turns out to be mediocre, I will be pleasantly surprised. Let me grab Jacob Dinkins. Okay, fine. Is the one hitter we wanted still around, or did we lose track of him? Let's take him now. I think now's a good time to draft him. 15th round. Randy Phelps, absolutely. Sure. Mike Edwards, all right. Give me a high control starting pitcher. Here we go. Devin Billington. I think you're going to be an okay pitcher. I don't think you're going to be great, but I think you've got a chance to pitch meaningful innings for somebody at some stage. And I think that's a good value this late in the draft. We'll take Jati Sartika. So like his name. Sure. Do you have any big leader types that have at least some level of skill? AD's adaptability. Let's take Jeremy Stanek. No, John Walker. Maybe both. Maybe we take both. I don't know. Sure. Get some character guys. That seems reasonable. That seems like an okay thing to do. Oh, you want 650 grand? Let's go. You want 650 grand? Let's go. And let's add all of you to the draft picks list. I'm kind of bummed out that both Ransom and what's his face are flaming out. But it's also paradoxically the fact they're not playing enough. So that may be the solution. The solution may be to simply have them work every day. Because, like, Jace Ransom's already lost some of his prospect sheen. Understood. He's not the guy he was at the beginning of the season because he's performing really poorly. However, he's still got a lot of upside. He just needs to start turning that into production. Yeah. Is Kozic totally helpless against right-handed pitching? He's Or let him. He's a lot worse. Okay, noted. There's a big PC that wants to try out Danny Rios. Danny Rios is actually performing very, very well in AAA. And I think keeping him in the minors when I do need help in the outfield is a bit silly. Manny Estrada confounds me. But I think I've seen enough out of Manny Estrada. What did I trade for him? I traded Salvador Lopez, who's having a pretty shitty year, so I don't feel that bad about it. Um, I think Estrada is fine, but I think he's also highly overrated, and I'm especially concerned with his lack of power and the fact he's not a very good defender. If I could trade Estrada and get a really nice prospect or even a regular, I think it's a trade that I make. Because I either need the open roster spot or I need Thump in the lineup, and maybe he could provide me with one or both of those things. Max Clark is uninteresting. Manuel Sanchez is actively terrible. Juan Garcia is not exciting. This is really bad, actually. We're getting very ungood offers. What if I just ask for prospects? How does that look? Yeah, there's just nothing here. I'm not going to trade Estrada for pennies on the dollar. That seems like a bad way to run a team. What about a veteran? Is there a sweet swinging like outfield I could pick up for the playoff run? That's something I might be interested in. Oh, I hear you. No, absolutely not. You would have to eat all of his salary for me to make this trade. Not some, not most, all. That is not happening. I don't think so, game. I think you are delusional in the extreme. Nobody wants Manny Estrada. They probably see what I can see, which is that he's probably overpotentialed. C'est la vie. Trump maybe has been consistent. I think at some point I have to realize that it's not him, it's me. It's me expecting him to do more than he's capable of doing. Um, I think his power will forever be enticing, but I think he is what he is right now, which isn't the worst. Like what he is, he's a good defender, and he hits for power. The problem is it's only power, and he doesn't make enough contact to make that power particularly appealing. Does anyone want Maben? Is anyone enticed by his raw, throbbing power? We're definitely getting a lot more offers here, which definitely seems to believe that maybe Maben is the one we should be trading after all. I'm seeing blue players. Let's look at one of those. F's a reliever, don't think so. Reliever, don't think so. Jose Mesa, not again. Enrique Rodriguez is fine. I don't know why he's rated as highly as he is. Like, he's fine, but not that interesting to me. I want to look at hitters, please, because I want to see if I can upgrade my hitting room. Ideally, my right now hitting. if that's a thing that I can request. Jonathan Holstrom is actually pretty solid. He's another on base guy, but he does have at least enough power that I think he has some appeal. He's also really good defensively. I think this is honestly a trade that I'm very strongly considering. I'm going to look a little bit longer, but I think it's the kind of player that I want to take a risk on. I have way too many players that are just, I hit ball far. I want players that are, I get on base. I want players that can really help us with the complete package, not just, I'm good at one or two things. Jim Cummins is pretty good. I would be happy to take him, but I think you're probably going to tell me no if I ask. Yeah, you're wanting one of my very best players for Cummins, and I don't want him that badly. I just don't. I would take Wilson Ramirez. No? You don't love it? It's Joey Noe. What an amazing name. A tier name, but B tier player. Maybe even like D tier player. Alright, we're just gonna pull a trigger. We're gonna call Mr. Maben here a former Sock and welcome Jonathan Holstrom. Mr. Holstrom here plays very, very well against left-handed pitching, so I think he's gonna slot in. And play right field for us for a bit. We can see how that works out. I really like his skill set. I really do. I like having another guy that gets on base at a very high clip. Somebody that can drive in the occasional run, but he's really there to set the table. I think it's a very beneficial thing for us to have on our roster. I'm going to reset the depth charts because I think we haven't done it in quite a while. Letting us try to play every day isn't a terrible idea. You know what? Let's fucking go. Let's give the man his proper chance to be an everyday player. Because there's nothing about Estrada that convinces me that he's someone we need to, like, go crazy about. There we go. Done. Alright, let's move up to the trading deadline, and we'll see how Mr. Holstrom does for the rest of the season. Alright, Mendez is wanting to come back. I think Ted Robinson is being overrated right now, and I think sending him to the minors is fine. We can maybe call him up when rosters expand, but I genuinely think that Mendez is deserving of a shot as our everyday starter. More so than Jones, who I think needs to get more experience just pitching, period, before you put him back in the rotation. Possibly. Jose Altamar is pitching incredibly well, which is great to see. Jay Horner has been a very solid closer. Certainly not like the super megastar, but a really good closer. Only Kevin Spencer's really struggling this season. His strikeout percentage is actually pretty good. But he's not striking out many people per nine. His stuff is lacking, and if his stuff is lacking, I think he's a less interesting pitcher, but we can let him try to work through it. So Bautista for the cycle, and then immediately... Oh, it's a different Bautista. Never mind. Okay. All-Star break is coming, so it'll be fine. CWS, no pitchers, but Kyle Teal makes the team. Ito makes the team, and that's it. 2 All-Stars. Okay, fine. Fine, if that's what makes you happy. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that anyone else deserved to make the All-Star team. Sorting by war, like Ito and Teal both having great seasons, but then it's Bautista, and then it just falls off from there. Prospect roster: Edwin Hernandez, Bill Shiflett, John the Crank. Nice. Yeah, I think we're gonna keep Geske. I don't think. Oh, okay, that's fine. I think we have reached the point where, look, I want to have a successful season. I really do. And I think the best way to have a successful season is to hire Will Venable as my rookie league manager. No. Um, is to keep Geske on the team. Um, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're having an outstanding season. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're guaranteed to win the World Series. But I do know that my chances of winning the World Series go up significantly with Luke Geske on the roster. And especially like that I lack a ready replacement is something that I think is really important. Gibbs is going to miss a day. Shane Smith is on the way out. Okay. Fine. Whatevs. Is that John Main? Oh, Josh Mains. Okay, fine. So what do we want? What would actually make an appreciable difference in our success this year? More offense. Um, I would hate to lose James Tibbs's veteran leadership. I think team chemistry is really good, and I think it's mostly because of Tibbs. But I also think Tibbs needs to go. So I think we need to find a solution. We need to find a way to not lose the leadership that we've developed, but also we need better players. Like, it's a requirement to have better players at this point. Um, I'm going to opt out of Tibbs' contract. And if he wants to come back for less money, then we'll do it. But he's having by far the worst season of his career, and I can't. This offense isn't so powerful that I can afford to have someone of his talent level just shitting the bed. Edwin Hernandez, who are overqualified for Double A. Enjoy your promotion. Why do we love Shiflett so much? I guess he's a really good all-around hitter who is actually playing very well in AAA. Um, Unfortunately, Alberto Maini has really taken over and played extremely well. And obviously, nobody is shifting Atsuji Ito from my affections, so sucks to be you, I guess. What other options do I have? Shula could play first base. The thing is that Michael Sard has actually been very efficient this season. He's actually been very useful. He could replace Tibbs, and maybe that's the answer, but I think if I'm going to replace Tibbs or replace him with Rios, at least has some of his power to share with us. I think maybe that's a better fit. My question is what happens if we do trade Tibbs and the leadership bottoms out and people just go crazy? Is that something we can reconcile? I don't think it is. I don't think that it is. I'm going to try to trade Manny Estrada again. I genuinely believe that there is a universe in which we get a decent player for him, which opens up the spot that we need to open up for Danny Rios. But I don't want to turn him over for nothing, but I genuinely think he's never going to be very successful. Can I get a package of players, perhaps, to make you feel better about basically selling low? What do we got here? Marco Vidal is fine. Well, that's all he is fine. Um, Javier Villar, uninteresting. Tim here is okay. Campos is fine. Lamb's pretty legit. And Josh Hunter would add another high profile catcher. I think this is actually the deal that we take. Maybe we try to get him to add somebody else in. But I think this is a good start. I think this is reasonable. And I just don't think Manny Estrada is very good. I think he's going to struggle no matter where he ends up. So, how about Felipe Colon? Is that someone you're willing to trade? You want a little bit more? I mean, Devin Migrant isn't anything that special. I could give you Michael Travis, who has done all he possibly can in the minor leagues, but I don't trust him. You know what? That deal kind of appeals to me. I've already made him a former Sox. That's funny. Can I get one more player out of you? Is that a fair request? Probably not. Probably there's nobody that's worthwhile. Let's just make this trade. I think this is fine. It's not brilliant, but it's more about freeing up a roster spot than it is about making a dramatic improvement. Because now I can call up Danny Rios. And I think Danny Rios has been champing at the bit, or chomping at it if you'd like, to get an opportunity in the major leagues, and I think he is worthy of such a shot. He's definitely not an everyday guy, but if you look at his raw skill against right-handed pitching, I think he could be a significant improvement over what we're currently running out. Um, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to put bench Tibbs, actually. Danny Rios. Get some DH time in. Yeah. I want to give Tibbs a fair shot, so I'm not going to do what the game wants me to do, which is play Mr. Tibbs more frequently, but at least for right now, I think it's fine. Alright, guys. Let's start the deadline date. Let's see if there's anybody on offer that really excites me. Calvin Ramirez would be a pretty nice addition if one in fact he's so expensive. Liam Doyle's very clearly washed. I feel like John Spikerman is a guy that I've already got a couple different places on the roster. I just don't think there's anything interesting here. Bummer. You know what? Let's ask about Luke Geske. Let's just kick the tires, right? The worst thing that can happen is we don't get a competitive offer and we just move on with our lives. Right? Like there is... Oh, set him as available, please. Yeah, I'm not getting good value for him. What if I asked for just one player? And what if we just added everybody? What if we just said the very best player we could get for Luke Geske? Yeah, not worth it. Not worth it, not worth it. Um, not worth it. Man, the Mets are desperate, right? They really want to get rid of him. That's funny. Oh, no, don't do that. I just think there's nothing here. I think we have done what we could have done. I think we've had an okay deadline, but I don't think there's no good players are being offered. Nobody wants to give up their people, which is reasonable. That's their choice, but if we win the World Series, it'll be because we get an unexpected spark from somebody, and that might be from Danny Rios. So we're gonna give him his shot. We're gonna let him play in the major leagues, and we're gonna let him cook a little bit and see what he can accomplish. Already he hasn't done anything, but there's still plenty of time left. Still loads of time left. So let's not get too concerned. 1 or 2 weeks for Bautista really sucks. I'm going to leave totally the roster as is, or to use an opportunity to call up another outfielder. I don't really have another one. I do have Tobias Kubek, but he is not a center fielder. Juan Schupman is a center fielder, I guess. I suppose this is a choice we could make. I'd almost rather just let the AI handle it than put him on the IL for somebody that's not going to play for very long. We need to put together a little bit of a run, like 5 or 6 wins in a row, get ourselves a bit of breathing room in the AL Central, and then just do our best to stay healthy. Or we could just go on a losing streak too, that's fine. I think all three of the top teams in the AL Central are making the postseason almost regardless of what happens. I'd love to compete for that second bye if we could get lucky, but it's not expected. It's not something that I think is going to happen or something that I think should happen. Do we call up Bill Shiflett and where do we play him? I mean, he is vaporizing AAA. He has nothing left to learn in the minor leagues. I just don't see a spot for him right now. I don't see a spot for him anywhere other than first base. And while there's nothing wrong with that, that is giving me concern. Yeah. John Crank is struggling in triple, but is actually pitching more effectively than he looks. He is getting hit, though, is the problem. He is getting hit kind of hard. I do want to bring up a reliever. I do want to bring up somebody else to get some more experience. Let's get Kevin Davis up in the majors. And let's call up Joel Biddle. And let's just see what this buys us for. Let's just see what happens here. Adam Wilson's starting to struggle a little bit, but I think it's okay. I think we can live with it for right now. You want Rios to play first base. I think it's still Estrada for right now, but I get it. I think Estrada's raw power makes him very, very desirable as our everyday first baseman. I mean, he is the best power hitter that we've got. In terms of isolated slugging, he's leaps and bounds even better than Ito, who is amazing. So let's go to the end of the regular season and let's see if we can have ourselves a nice closeout to the season. I'd like to win 4 or 5 in a row to start. I want to be in contention for the second wildcard spot. That's kind of my goal here. But that may not happen. I might even win my division. So Holstrom's going to miss a week. That's not enough to make any drastic changes. I guess we could play Biddle if we had to. Rocky Biddle, that was the reliever who pitched for the White Sox. John Rodriguez, you're going right to the minors. Like, there was never any question of you being in the major leagues this year. You're way too green. Losing my closer for 7 months is incredibly rude. That's mean. Don't do that, game. I don't agree with that decision at all. Hey, John Crank, welcome to the major leagues. I don't think you're ready, but I also don't have a choice. Of my existing relievers, the one I would trust most to be the closer is unironically probably Matt Puas. But I think it's going to be Adam Wilson for now. And then, yeah, Puas is going to fill in and be set up. And we'll go from there. You can be a middle reliever, I guess, Mr. Crank. Losing Jay Horner really sucks, actually. Horner is actually having a really good season. I know you want to come back. I cannot afford you. Like, I'm not even close to being able to afford you. Which really stinks, but it's the world that we live in. I suppose I could opt out of Tibbs's last year. I think I definitely opt out of Noah Schultz's last year, potentially. He's definitely overpaid, but guys, I don't know. We have melted down at the worst time of the season to melt down. Like, genuinely, wow. I don't know how to feel about that. No postseason. Honestly, we didn't deserve it. This team completely melted down in the second half of the season. Just utterly melted down. With very little to show for it. This is very disappointing to me. I think we got some great things from this season, but we choked, and this lineup was awful. There is no reason for us to be performing this poorly. Aaron Boone had to go. Aaron Boone becomes a scapegoat, which is whatever. Like, we accept this, but it was really terrible how badly the entire offense regressed, with very limited exceptions. I need more from my players, and I'm not getting it. So something's gonna have to give. 100%. We're gonna have to make some tough decisions this offseason. We're going to decide who to get rid of. Whether we just want to not cut, but we just want to cut loose a bunch of players and then try to find replacements in free agency if we want to let some kids get some more experience. I don't know the answer, but I do know that the answer is not run it back with this exact team. This is a huge disappointment. Massive disappointment that we performed this poorly. There's enough talent in this lineup to not be as bad as we were. And thank goodness we had rookies that really contributed, like Michael Estrada, like Alberto Maini. Both of them had really good years. But there's a lot to fix. Alright. Both Schultz and Tibbs are getting voided. I would like to bring both of them back if they have reasonable contract requirements. We're losing Aaron Boone, which is fine. Oak League's gonna expand. When is that gonna happen? I guess you picked the expansion teams, the Memphis Railroaders and the Jacksonville Wild Riders, sure. Let's do it. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do for you end the episode is I do at least want to talk to Schultz and, I want to talk to Schultz. I especially want to talk to Tibbs and see if we can get him to stick around. Which is definitely not a guarantee. Okay. I think Schultz is getting the qualifying offer. I think Geske is too, because I think both of them are going to want massive contract extensions. So if I offer them both, I might get 2 draft picks. Tibbs wants a raise. I'm not going to give that to him. Schultz also wants a raise. Okay. Well, what does Kyle Teal want to come back? He wants a fairly substantial raise in his late 30s. I don't think that's very smart. So let's break down how this season went, right? Let's talk about it and think about what might go better next year. All right. First thing to talk about is our lineup. Ito was not his very best, but was again by far the best player on the White Sox. If this is what he settles into as his new normal, I'm completely accepting of it. He had a great season, good contributor, pretty good second baseman. He's not the reason we're failing. Josh Gibbs is underrated. I think he's truly underrated. I know he's not a top tier offensive performer, but he's at least league average or close to it. And his glove is really good. He's very, very welcomed. Kyle Teal had an outstanding season. And as much as it pains me to see him in another team's uniform, I don't think it makes sense to me. I don't think it makes sense to give him the long-term offer that he wants. I could do another 3-year deal with a team option or 2. That's something I could get behind, but I'm not going to give him a 4-year deal. I think that's too much. This works for me. I think giving him a fairly modest raise, but giving us protection to get out is fine with me. Garrett Kozich wasn't nearly as good as he was last season, but still pretty decent. I still, it was a bad season in a lot of ways, but I still think he was a positive performer. Lefties eat him for breakfast, so that's maybe something we need to consider. I don't know why he's playing against lefties anyway, but it's not his job. Michael Estrada, a very nice little find for us. He had the raw power that we wanted. A good enough on base percentage to show that he can be trusted. He's a nice little piece. Alberto Maini, I did not expect to find a new third baseman this year, but what I found was pretty special. I don't think he's a third baseman, but I'm willing to let him keep playing the position just because I don't have anybody better. Regan Torres had good years. Rios had a good start to his career, sort of. I think Ransom just needs to play. I think fucking around with platooning him is hurting his development more than it would hurt to just let him play and figure out what he can do. So, with Tibbs gone, if bats are going to open up, because he's not coming back. I can't overpay just for leadership, and he doesn't bring it up to the table offensively to interest me. Otherwise. Now, this is going to be an important transition year for us, because we're replacing not 1 but 2 starting pitchers. Um, I think 20 million a year for Geske is more than I'm willing to swallow, unless it's a 1-year contract. So we're gonna offer Schultz and Geske are both getting offered qualifying offers. How did Chris Waters do? He blew out his arm. What a fucking nerd. I have starter-ish pitchers that could maybe play some sort of position, but so I think what happens next season, a couple things are going to happen. Jason Ransom's going to play every day, or Holstrom's going to play every day. One of those two things is going to happen. I'm not doing Ransom any favors by not giving him enough at bats to show that he can handle the major leagues. Not like Maben. Maben had plenty of chances and didn't cash in on them. So that's on him. Miami is continuing to get better, which is extremely exciting to me. Honor Montez might be like he struggled badly in AAA. I don't think anyone's gonna want him, but this is a real letdown for me. But we'll talk more about that in the future. How did the pitching go this year? Did the pitchers do pitching things? I mean, look at this. Look at this trio of starters. Jane Charles pitched the entire season, but also led the league in losses. I don't know how he managed that. He also walked more people than anyone else in the league. This is arguably one of his worst years as a starting pitcher, but he was still pretty good. A world in which Brian Williams is a top-tier consistent starting pitcher is one that I very much want to be in, and makes me very happy. If this is Luke Geske's swan song as a White Sox, I feel very proud of him. But I don't think he is... For 18th round draft pick, I think you can get pretty happy about how good he has been for us. He's given us low-key 5 excellent years and 1 terrible year, which is more than I could say about a lot of players. Noah Schultz, another stalwart in our rotation, maybe never quite what we expected, but still pretty solid. Some nice contributions from other pitchers. And let's not sleep on probably our best overall pitcher, which was Jay Horner, who got hurt. But he had himself a very fantastic season. Very, very good. Which is excellent news. So it's going to be some major transitions are going to happen next season. Major transitions. And I don't know how this all gets settled out. I genuinely don't know. I mean, Bill Shiflett, I don't know what to do with him. I completely do not know what to do with him. DH, maybe? But I don't want to lose him for nothing. But we'll talk about that next episode. Yeah. This lineup has so much potential and should be performing much better than they did this season. That they didn't play that well makes me very sad. I mean, a full year of Maini might help because he was... I hope he gets Rookie of the Year consideration. I know he wasn't perfect, and he definitely has issues playing third base, but I don't care. He was very, very good. But the only outfielder that was really above average most of the season was Bautista, who had a good year. Bautista was actually quite tasty, quite a good player. Kozic was decent, but we've got a lot of ground to cover before we can truly say that we have an offense we can be proud of year in and year out. I've got to see more from Ransom and Holstrom. I've got to see more from Brios potentially. Tibbs is going to be gone, so there's going to be some at-bats to fill. And we'll do our best to fill them in as the way that makes the most sense. Okay. Friends, I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below, let me know any thoughts that you have. But until next time, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.